human intelligence has left its mark across the planet through massive mega-projects. Great bridges, enormous structures, and modern architectural wonders are not only engineering achievements, but also proof of humanity's extraordinary creativity in the face of the harshest terrains. With their vast scale and incredible complexity, these structures make it feel as if they are challenging the limits of geography and physics. Thanks to the development of science, technology, and construction engineering, ideas that once seemed impossible now stand right here on Earth. This journey will open the door to majestic wonders so unbelievable that it is hard to believe they truly exist. Veluwemeer Aqueduct, Netherlands. Breaking away from conventional architectural standards, the Veluwemeer Aqueduct in the Netherlands is one of the most unique hydraulic and transportation structures on the planet. Opened in 2002 to connect the mainland with the artificial island of Flevoland, this water bridge brought to life an idea that once seemed impossible, allowing boats to move proudly right above lines of cars. This backward design thinking is the key to creating such a spectacular optical illusion. Instead of building an expensive elevated bridge or a costly tunnel, engineers created a water channel about 82 feet long, 62 feet wide, and 10 feet deep, cutting across the N302 highway. Seen from above, the moving traffic suddenly seems to disappear into the water to make way for ferries and boats gliding past, creating an interwoven dance of transportation filled with illusion. Not only does the Veluwemeer Aqueduct solve the budget problem in a smart way, but it also has separate pedestrian paths on both sides of the bridge. This place has become an ideal stop for visitors to stroll, admire the magical intersection between hydraulic technology and the gentle flow of transportation in the land of tulips. Peak Walk by Tissot, Switzerland. I stepped onto the Peak Walk by Tissot while the clouds were still lingering below the mountain, and in that moment, the Silver Bridge appeared, connecting the two peaks of Viewpoint and Sex Rouge. The space around me opened up so wide that every sound seemed to grow smaller, while a sense of excitement rose with the altitude of nearly 9,800 feet above sea level, where clouds, snow, and cliffs all appeared right beneath my feet. The sound of shoes touching the bridge deck, the wind slipping through the railings, and each breath in the cold air all blended into the slow rhythm of the Alps. From here, on a clear day, it is possible to see majestic peaks rising over 13,000 feet and the snow-white glaciers below. The most beautiful moment of the entire journey came when I stopped in the middle of the bridge. In that instant, I realized that human beings can come a little closer to the clouds, the snow, and the silence of the mountains. Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge, China. The Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge in Guizhou Province, China, is the highest suspension bridge in the world. Opened on September 28, 2025, the bridge has a height of 2,051 feet from the deck to the bottom of the gorge, with a total length of 9,482 feet, helping shorten the time needed to cross the canyon from 2 hours to only 2 minutes. That height is equivalent to a 221-story building, even nearly twice as tall as the Eiffel Tower, making the bridge look like a steel thread stretched between the clouds and the mountains. At this dizzying height, Chinese engineers applied a slender suspension bridge design, optimizing aerodynamics to withstand the harsh gales of the deep canyon. Below is the abyss of the Beipan River, while above, vehicles glide across in a feeling that is both overwhelming and hard to believe. In particular, the artificial water spray system creates a white mist surrounding the body of the bridge, making this structure look like a wonder suspended in the sky of Guizhou. Ponte Vecchio Bridge, Italy. Ponte Vecchio in Italy is Florence's most famous ancient bridge, crossing the poetic Arno River. Unlike many bridges that are used only for crossing, Ponte Vecchio feels like a small street, resting on the water, with shops lined closely along both sides. Originally, this place once had meat and fish stalls, but because the smell was too strong, in 1593, the Medici family ordered them all to be replaced with goldsmith and jewelry shops, making the bridge more elegant and cleaner. What makes Ponte Vecchio especially remarkable is that it was the only bridge in Florence not destroyed by Nazi German forces during World War II. As people say, Hitler asked for this bridge to be spared because he was so captivated by its beauty. Today, Ponte Vecchio has become one of the most picture-perfect corners of Italy, a bridge where daily life, history, and art exist together on each small rooftop beside the Arno River. Eshima Ohashi Bridge, Japan. Spanning Lake Langkawi to connect the two cities of Matsue and Sakai Minato, Eshima Ohashi is a 1.1-mile long, 37-foot wide bridge with 2 traffic lanes. The one-of-a-kind feature of this structure is its ability to create a powerful visual illusion. From distant photo angles, the bridge appears like a road rising straight up into the sky, making many drivers break into a sweat with fear. However, this danger is not real at all. To make room for ships weighing over 500 tons to pass underneath, the bridge was built 148 feet above sea level. In reality, the slopes on both sides are only 5.1% and 6.1% below the 10% standard, carrying 14,000 vehicles each day with a speed limit of 25 miles per hour. Eshima Ohashi is a true symbol of Japan's top-level engineering, turning outward extremeness into inner safety and practicality. Chesapeake Bay Bridge, United States. Located in the state of Maryland, USA, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge is a twin-span bridge system stretching 4.3 miles, connecting the eastern and western shores of the bay. Although it has a beautifully curving design, the structure gives many drivers an unsettling feeling. The main reason comes from its extremely low guardrails, combined with sharply curving sections with limited visibility, strong gusts of wind, and thick fog covering the area. This place is often ranked as one of the scariest bridges in America, becoming a terrifying obsession for those who suffer from gephorophobia, also known as the fear of crossing bridges. This fear has given rise to a one-of-a-kind service, Drive Over Assistance. Visitors only need to pay a fee, and mentally steady staff members will take the wheel directly, bringing both passengers and vehicles across the bridge as safely as possible. Golden Bridge, Bana Hills, Vietnam. Located in the Ba Na Hills tourist area in Da Nang, the Golden Bridge is a 492-foot-long architectural masterpiece within the Thien Thai Garden project, once honored at the 2018 National Architecture Awards. The one-of-a-kind appeal of this structure lies in its design language, which feels like a deep conversation with nature. Instead of an ordinary walkway, the bridge appears like a shimmering golden silk ribbon, held up by a pair of giant moss-covered hands clinging to the cliffside. This bold idea recreates the image of powerful divine hands pulling a golden ribbon out of the majestic mountain, opening a path for humans to step into a fairy tale-like realm. Designed in 2016 and completed in 2018, the Golden Bridge not only connects tourist attractions, but also connects reality with legend. Standing on the bridge, visitors feel as if they are floating in an endless sea of clouds, clearly sensing the grandeur of nature blending perfectly with the peak of human creativity. Bastei Bridge, Germany. Often described as a surreal brushstroke in the heart of Saxon Switzerland, Germany, Bastei Bridge is a unique architectural wonder, rising 636 feet above the Elbe River below. Seen from a distance, this 251-foot-long structure blends completely into nature, as if it were growing out of the cliff itself, with the entire structure built from sandstone and connecting giant natural rock towers into one unified form. Originally built from wood in 1824 to serve the wave of visitors coming to admire the scenery, the bridge was later rebuilt solidly in stone in 1851. Unlike modern structures, Bastei does not create fear through engineering, but awakens emotion through its windswept height and the deep, open valley below. Walking across the bridge's 7 ancient arches, visitors feel as if they are floating in mid-air, taking in the majestic natural panorama before their eyes. Bastei is the ultimate proof that architecture is not only meant to connect 2 points, but can become a path that brings human beings into harmony with a masterpiece of creation. Langkawi Skybridge, Malaysia. Hidden on Malaysia's jewel-like island of Langkawi, the Langkawi Skybridge is a spectacular aerial pedestrian bridge stretching 410 feet, suspended at an altitude of 2,165 feet above sea level. The bridge curves gracefully in a semicircular shape, crossing a deep gorge with only one giant inclined support column and a complex cable-stayed system. The structure is located on the summit of the majestic Gunung Machincang. According to local folklore, this moss-covered rocky mountain is the petrified remains of the giant Machincang after an earth-shaking battle with his close friend Mat Raya. To step onto this wonder, visitors must go through a breathtaking journey on one of the world's steepest cable car routes, but in return, they are rewarded with a 360-degree view covering Langkawi Island, the Andaman Sea, the green forests below, and on a clear day, even far toward Thailand. The bridge's surreal beauty once caught the eye of filmmakers, becoming a grand setting in the Bollywood blockbuster Don. Rakotzbrücke Bridge, Germany. The natural scenery of Kromlauer Park in Germany carries a mesmerizing highlight known as Rakotzbrücke Bridge. Built in 1860 by the talented architect Friedrich Hermann Röttger, this basalt stone structure looks like a sweeping brushstroke arching across the calm lake, nestled deep within a vast forest that changes colors with the seasons. What makes this stone arch feel unreal is the magic of reflection. When the air is still and there is no wind, the bridge's shadow mirrors itself on the clear water below, perfectly combining with the real structure to create an absolute geometric circle. The fact that no supporting pillars were used in the middle of the lake amazed people at the time, giving rise to the legend that this was the Devil's Bridge, because it seemed difficult for humans to create such perfection. Today, to preserve this masterpiece of optical illusion intact, the authorities have banned all walking on the bridge. Travelers can only stand from a distance and admire it, falling silent before the blurred boundary between reality and illusion. Nanpu Bridge, China. Opened in 1991, Nanpu Bridge is an infrastructure masterpiece stretching more than 26,000 feet. What amazed the world most was that the project's biggest engineering knot was untangled thanks to the intelligence of a child. The unique feature of Nanpu lies in its spiral approach road system on the Puxi side. Facing the problem of a 151-foot-high bridge that would take up too much land and force large numbers of residents to relocate, leading engineers were completely stuck. The turning point came when 8-year-old Yang Ming accidentally said to his architect parents, building the approach road in a spiral shape would save space. This idea was immediately brought to life, helping optimize space and allowing the design to stand out among tens of thousands of proposals to be approved. This outstanding idea not only transformed the bridge into a winding dragon, but also earned the boy a luxury apartment right in the city center. Golden Gate Bridge, United States. I arrived in San Francisco on an early morning surrounded by fog, as if the entire bay were breathing out a layer of silver-cold mist. From a distance, the Golden Gate Bridge appeared like a bold, bright orange brushstroke from the hand of a gifted painter, drawn across the open space between land and ocean. This special color also helps the bridge stand out clearly in the fog and resist salty sea air like a protective suit of armor. Behind that beauty is a giant steel body about 6,450 feet long, with a main span stretching about 4,000 feet. The bridge connecting San Francisco with Marin County hangs above the water like a silk ribbon stretched between two shores, high enough for large ships to pass beneath. For local people, the Golden Gate is special because it is not only engineering, it is where steel, color, and Art Deco art blend together. The two bridge towers rise through the fog like the gateway of San Francisco, while the cables hang down gracefully. Therefore, it is not only a road across the bay, but also a symbol of history, culture, and humanity's desire to rise beyond its limits. Millennium Bridge, London. Created to welcome the new millennium, Millennium Bridge is a stainless steel pedestrian bridge nearly 1,080 feet long, crossing the River Thames. The bridge connects two cultural banks, two worlds of tradition and modernity, reflecting the distinctive identity of England's capital, which is always changing while still preserving its historical core. The structure features a minimalist, inclined suspension design, creating an elegant metallic curve that seems to float in mid-air. This masterpiece is associated with the witty nickname Wobbly Bridge. Just 2 days after opening in 2000, the bridge had to close for 2 years because of a resonant swaying effect caused by the footsteps of crowds of pedestrians. Not only is it a symbol of overcoming an engineering challenge, but the bridge is also a famous cinematic stage that appeared in the Harry Potter film series. For those who love photography or enjoy scenic walks, Millennium Bridge is an ideal stop to feel the dynamic rhythm and creative spirit of London. Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge, China. Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge in China is one of the most famous glass bridges in the world, with a length of about 1,410 feet, a width of about 20 feet, and a height of nearly 984 feet above the bottom of the canyon. Below is a dense green valley, while all around are the towering vertical cliffs that are characteristic of Zhangjiajie. The most special feature of the bridge is that the entire deck is made of transparent tempered glass, making visitors feel as if they are walking in mid-air. Every step makes the heart beat faster, because people can look straight down into the deep abyss below. Even though they know the glass surface is very strong, the feeling of fear still comes very naturally. This feeling of being both beautiful and frightening has made the place famous online, with many videos showing visitors panicking as they step on the transparent glass surface. In addition, Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge also has a very famous bungee jumping area, once considered one of the highest bungee jumping spots in the world. Many visitors come here to test their courage, because the number of visitors is very high, especially during peak season. Travelers often need to book tickets in advance and should arrive early. Jiaozhou Bay Bridge, China. Seen from above, Jiaozhou Bay Bridge looks like a concrete river flowing backward across the waters of Qingdao. Standing before this structure, I had the feeling that humans were not only building a bridge, but redrawing the travel map of an entire bay. The seawater below keeps crashing endlessly. Large ships pass back and forth, strong winds strike from all directions, while thousands of bridge pillars remain firmly driven deep like giant roots beneath the seabed. The bridge deck is 110 feet wide enough for 6 lanes of traffic to pass through, and after only about 30 minutes, people can cross from one side of the bay to the other. Each day, an estimated 30,000 vehicles travel across this place, like a mechanical bloodstream flowing non-stop between Qingdao and Huangdao. When it opened in 2011, it was once recognized as one of the longest sea-crossing bridges in the world. What I admire most is the way this structure turns distance into a rhythm of daily life. For the people of Qingdao, the bridge is not only a way to cross the sea, but also a way to shorten travel time, expand the economy, and bring different areas closer together. Forth Bridge, Scotland. Forth Bridge is one of the great symbols of Victorian-era engineering. Opened in 1890, this giant railway bridge crosses the Firth of Forth with a cantilever design that still leaves a powerful impression after more than a century. Its structure includes about 53,000 tons of steel and millions of rivets installed by hand, marking a turning point in the construction of large-scale metal bridges. For many decades, it was the longest bridge of its kind, and to this day, it still stands out thanks to its red appearance, a color that has become an essential part of its identity. The old belief that this bridge was never finished being painted clearly reflects its enormous scale. Despite its long age, the bridge still serves daily use, allowing trains to pass across a route considered a masterpiece of its era. Forth Bridge proves that engineering can be functional, massive, and symbolic at the same time. Its majestic presence and history help this bridge continue to be one of the most admired bridges in the world. Pont du Gard, France. Standing tall across 2 millennia in southern France, Pont du Gard is a great symbol of the outstanding construction engineering and aesthetic brilliance of ancient Rome. This limestone structure is 161 feet high and 902 feet long, with a unique 3-tiered arch design stacked layer upon layer. More than 55,500 tons of stone, with blocks weighing up to 6.6 tons, were carved with precision so they could fit together perfectly and stand firm against the passage of time using only friction and gravity. In the beginning, the bridge served as an aqueduct, supplying 10.6 million gallons of water each day to the ancient city of Nîmes, before later transforming into a toll road bridge after the empire collapsed. Through every historical upheaval, Pont du Gard today is a charming destination, welcoming 1.4 million visitors each year, turning an ancient infrastructure project into an enduring symbol that connects the past and the present. Seven Mile Bridge, United States. 7 Mile Bridge in the state of Florida, United States, is an architectural masterpiece stretching across the open sea with a length of 6.79 miles. unique highlight of the structure is its middle section, which is designed to curve high upward so boats can pass beneath, giving travelers a wonderful feeling as if they are gliding over the surface of the ocean. The journey across the bridge feels like a visual feast, as the water below constantly changes color from clear pale blue to deep dark blue, then shifts into a brilliantly beautiful turquoise, especially at sunrise and sunset. But the most special thing about 7 Mile Bridge is that this place does not only have the modern bridge for today's vehicles, but also an old bridge running parallel nearby. The old bridge was once part of an overseas railroad built from 1909 to 1912 and was called the Eighth Wonder of the World. But after the powerful hurricane of 1935, it was badly damaged and was later converted into a route for walking, cycling, sightseeing, and fishing. Later, the new 7 Mile Bridge was built and officially replaced the old bridge in 1982. Hangzhou Bay Bridge, China. Stretching endlessly for 22.1 miles in Zhejiang Province, Hangzhou Bay Bridge, opened in 2008, is one of China's brightest engineering prides. The structure stands out with its gentle S-shaped design, curving gracefully over the sea to disperse the impact forces from harsh ocean currents. Located in a unique position, the bridge must directly withstand the tides of the Qiantang River, one of the strongest tidal bores on the planet, closely tied to the legend of the terrifying wrath of the Dragon King. The most spectacular highlight of the project is Land Between Sea and Sky, a service area fully equipped with a luxury hotel and a high observation tower, attracting millions of visitors to experience the feeling of floating between earth and sky. Széchenyi Chain Bridge, Hungary. As the first permanent suspension bridge to cross the Danube River in 1849, the Széchenyi Chain Bridge is often compared to a shimmering chain linking two banks of heritage, ancient Buddha and modern Pest. This 1,230-foot-long structure carries an elegant neoclassical architectural style, using giant iron chains to support the entire suspended structure, which was pioneering for its time. The element that creates the soul and mystery of the bridge is the two pairs of ancient stone lion statues standing majestically at both ends. They not only represent power and silent protection, but are also tied to the humorous tale of their hidden tongues, sparking the curiosity of generations of visitors. Once completely destroyed by Nazi Germany during World War II, the structure was faithfully rebuilt by the Hungarian people and proudly reborn exactly 100 years later. Walking across the chain bridge in the late afternoon, watching the sunset turn the walls of Buda Castle golden, you can fully feel the presence of a resilient witness to history, where the past and the future meet in quiet harmony. Øresund Bridge, Denmark, Sweden. The Øresund Bridge is regarded as one of the proudest and most famous engineering successes in the world. Completed in 2000 with a length of 10 miles, the Øresund Bridge is a magnificent structure connecting two countries, Sweden and Denmark. What makes Øresund so impressive is its disappearing into the sea structure. The project does not include only a bridge, but also combines roadway, railway, the artificial island of Piberholm, and an underwater tunnel section about 2.5 miles long. This design allows cars and electric trains to travel at the same time, optimizing transportation while also protecting the landscape. Seen from above, the route seems to rush straight out into the ocean, then suddenly sink beneath the sea, creating an image that feels both modern and mysterious. Far beyond its role of geographic connection, the Øresund Bridge has helped form a dynamic cross-border economic region, making it easier for people in both countries to work, study, and trade. Today, Øresund is not only the pride of Denmark and Sweden, but also a powerful symbol of peace, friendship, and international cooperation. New River Gorge Bridge, United States. Spanning the deep gorge in West Virginia, the New River Gorge Bridge is one of America's iconic steel arch architectural wonders. Opened in 1977, this 3,031-foot-long structure has a massive arch span, reaching 1,699 feet, once holding the world record for the longest arch span for many decades. The unique feature of New River Gorge lies in its transformation from practical infrastructure into a center of extreme sports. The bridge created a major turning point by shortening the time needed to cross the gorge from 40 minutes on a dangerous mountain road to only 1 minute by car. With its overwhelming height, making the guardrails on both sides seem to vanish into the air, this place brings an intense thrill to those who love conquest. Every year, on Bridge Day in October, the bridge is completely closed to traffic to host the largest extreme sports festival on the planet. Tens of thousands of people from everywhere gather here to experience skydiving, base jumping, rappelling down toward the river, and immersing themselves in the lively festival atmosphere amid the brilliant autumn colors of the vast forest. Seri Wawasan Bridge, Malaysia. The design of Seri Wawasan Bridge is considered one of the most modern highlights in the smart city of Putrajaya, Malaysia. With a length of 787 feet and a width of 122 feet, this great structure serves as a vital artery connecting Precinct 2 with the residential area of Precinct 8 across its impressive 6 traffic lanes. The appeal of this cable-stayed masterpiece comes from its shape, which resembles a boat, raising its sail and heading out to sea. Engineers built a 315-foot-high, inverted Y-shaped pylon, boldly tilted forward at an angle of 75 degrees. The 541-foot-long main span is firmly supported by 30 pairs of load-bearing suspension cables spreading out symmetrically in a fan-like pattern. At night, the artistic lighting system transforms the cables and steel frame into a magnificent sail reflected on the water's surface, creating a symbol of technology and peak aesthetics. Confederation Bridge, Canada. Opened in 1997, Confederation Bridge is 8 miles long, stretching across the Northumberland Strait to connect Prince Edward Island with mainland New Brunswick, becoming one of Canada's most outstanding engineering projects. It is considered the longest bridge in the world, crossing waters that regularly freeze in winter, so every design detail had to take into account the pressure of ice, wind, and tides. The most special feature lies in its cone-shaped beveled bridge piers, which can break up large drifting ice blocks before they strike the structure. To complete this project, construction teams worked for 4 years, from 1993 to 1997, in harsh, cold sea conditions, replacing a ferry system that had existed for more than a century. Not only is Confederation Bridge an important transportation route, but it is also linked to the legend of the ghost ship on the Northumberland Strait, a fiery illusion said to often appear before major storms. The image of the bridge was once printed on a Canadian postage stamp as a symbol of engineering and national pride. Millau Viaduct, France. On a morning when the Tarn Valley was still covered in mist, I crossed the Millau Bridge. As the car glided across the bridge deck, I felt as if I were not driving on a road, but floating over a layer of white clouds, so light and peaceful. The bridge piers rose from the valley floor like giant tree trunks, while the cables spread out gently like strings stretched across the sky of France. Millau Viaduct is one of the tallest bridges in the world, with the highest point of its mast reaching 1,125 feet. The structure was designed by architect Norman Foster and engineer Michel Viaduct, with the desire not only to help people cross the valley, but also to give the project a beauty that blends into the landscape. The subtle and skillful design detail is that the bridge deck curves slightly, giving drivers a more natural line of sight. The bridge feels like a gust of wind that humans have temporarily held in place with steel and concrete. Royal Gorge Bridge, United States. I stepped onto the Royal Gorge Bridge and heard the sound of wood echoing beneath my feet with each step. That sound was very small, but in the space of the Colorado Canyon, it became clearer than ever. Below, the deep blue Arkansas River curved through the bottom of the gorge, while granite cliffs rose on both sides like ancient walls of the earth. Royal Gorge Bridge stands about 955 feet above the river and was once one of the highest suspension bridges in the world. What makes it special is its wooden deck, creating a feeling much more intimate and authentic than modern concrete road surfaces. Local people see it as part of the travel memory of the American West, a place where visitors come to look down into the deep gorge and realize how small they are. But that smallness does not make people feel inferior. It makes their admiration grow even greater. Russky Bridge, Russia. Located in the bustling port city of Vladivostok in Russia's far east, Russky Bridge is a massive structure connecting the mainland with remote Russky Island, crossing the wide waters of the eastern Bosphorus Strait, where strong winds and fog often appear. The most special feature of Russky Bridge is the distance between its two main towers, the longest in the world at 3,622 feet, with no supporting pier in the middle. The two main towers rise more than 1,050 feet high, nearly equivalent to the Eiffel Tower, making people below seem very small. The bridge's giant cable system is painted in 3 colors: white, blue, and red, like the colors of the Russian flag, creating a striking image between the sea and sky of Vladivostok. Building the bridge was far from easy because engineers had to work in freezing weather, with temperatures sometimes dropping to -24 degrees Fahrenheit. Overcoming both the harsh climate and the island's mysterious past, Russky Bridge has now become a symbol of modern Russia, and the image of the bridge is also printed on Russia's 2,000 ruble banknote. Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, United States. As soon as the car left the southern shore of Louisiana, I felt as if I were no longer driving on a bridge, but sliding into the middle of a giant mirror of water. Lake Pontchartrain Causeway stretches nearly 24 miles across the lake, long enough to feel the horizon slowly disappearing from the mainland. Looking around in all 4 directions, I saw only water, clouds, and a thin strip of concrete, like a thread, stretched across the natural space. This structure is famous for being one of the longest bridges in the world over water. But its strangeness does not come from grandeur, but from a sense of monotony so strong that it feels surreal. The concrete pillars repeat again and again. The sound of tires touching the expansion joints comes in a steady rhythm, making the journey feel like a slow piece of music. Drivers who cross here always remind one another to stay alert, because the long-lasting quiet itself is the greatest challenge. (1915) Çanakkale Bridge, Turkey. When I stood beside the Dardanelles Strait, the wind rolled across the water as if turning through pages of heroic history. The 1915 Çanakkale Bridge crosses the Çanakkale Strait, where it separates the Asian and European sides of Turkey. It is not only a transportation bridge, but also a structure connecting 2 continents on one of the world's important maritime routes. The red and white colors of the bridge reminded me of this country's flag, while its towers soared high into the sky, a majestic and powerful sight carrying humanity's desire for freedom. There is a special meaning behind the bridge's main span of 6,637 feet, a number connected to the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Republic of Turkey. The name 1915 also recalls the Battle of Gallipoli, an important memory in the history of this country. The bridge is honored as a symbol that connects the past with the future in the hearts of the people, where every vehicle crossing it feels like another step across the waves of history, allowing a proud nation to tell its story through steel, concrete, and sea wind. Humber Bridge, England. I came to Humber Bridge on a cold, windy day, when the wide, grey, lead-coloured river spread out beneath the sky. The bridge is not as dazzling as famous tourist icons, but it has a very old, rustic kind of beauty, very British, like a calm, enduring and quiet man. The two concrete towers, 509 feet high, stand on the two banks like landmarks amid the vast water, while the cables curve down softly, creating a harmonious whole for the entire structure. When it opened in 1981, Humber was once the longest single-span suspension bridge in the world. Today, it remains one of the most notable suspension bridges, especially because pedestrians and cyclists can cross it. Local people value the bridge in a very practical way. It saves time, reduces long detours, and connects communities on both sides of the river. Some structures do not need to overwhelm people immediately, but the longer you look at them, the more captivating they become. Sidu River Bridge, China. At Sidu River Bridge, I felt as if the empty space itself had weight. The valley below was so deep that the river almost turned into a quiet, dark streak between two vertical cliffs. The bridge hangs between clouds and mountains, making those who cross it not only see the height, but also feel the chilling silence of the terrain. Sidu River Bridge is located in Hubei Province, China, and was once considered the highest bridge in the world when it opened in 2009, with its deck standing about 1,627 feet above the river. Construction here was extremely difficult because of the deep valley and strongly divided terrain. One special detail often mentioned is that during construction, engineers used rockets to pull the pilot cable across the gorge before building the main cable system. To me, that was a moment when engineering almost touched poetry, as humans sent the first cable across the abyss to begin reconnecting the two ends of the world. Hålogaland Bridge, Norway. Hålogaland Bridge is located near the city of Narvik, Norway, in the freezing Arctic Circle region. The bridge crosses the Rombaksfjorden, where high mountains, deep sea, and truly majestic scenery come together. With its elegant and graceful design, Hålogaland Bridge is often praised by many as one of the most beautiful bridges in the world. But beneath that peaceful appearance lies a land that once witnessed the fierce Battle of Narvik during World War II. Building this bridge was far from easy, because engineers had to carefully calculate so the structure could withstand powerful storms, harsh weather, and the risk of avalanches in the Arctic region. Today, Hålogaland Bridge has become a famous photo spot for many visitors and photographers. On nights when the northern lights appear, blue and purple light spreads across the sky, making the bridge look both modern and magical, as if it had stepped out of a movie. Beipanjiang Bridge, China. A bridge that radiates a beauty that is not showy, but quiet, like a thin brushstroke stretched between two giant mountain walls. That is Beipanjiang. Amid the stunning scenery of China, where at the bottom of the valley, the water curves through mountain rocks, while above, vehicles move like tiny specks of dust on steel strings. At that height, what overwhelms people is not only the vast open space, but the absolute precision of engineering at 1,854 feet above the river surface. Beipanjiang Bridge is one of the highest bridges in the world, located among China's rugged limestone mountains, and is a source of national pride. Before the bridge was built, the journey through this area could take many hours along winding mountain roads. When the bridge was constructed, the distance was shortened, but something even greater happened. The opportunities for local people also became greater. For them, the bridge means more than just a transportation project. It is also a doorway for farm products, goods, and village life to move beyond the valleys once blocked by mountains.